I've been meaning to put this shit on here for a while because I think he kind of makes an interesting point, and I'll see what y'all think. I don't know much about this dude. I know he's kind of a fucking a legend in his own right. Back in the day, dude's name is Jerry Garcia. Everybody may know him or from just being familiar with. I think he was in the Grateful Dead. But he has some shit to say about rap music. So let's see what y'all think. See what y'all take on his opinion.
Roll the clip.
Let me get that pulled up here.
Well, rap is not music, for one thing. I mean, it isn't music. You know, it's talking. That's what it says. Rap. Rap means talking. It's not music. It's talking in meter. It's got rhyme, and it has meter. It has rhythm. It's not music. It's it's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I have no problem with it. It just isn't music, and people who get to be great at rap are not great musicians. They're just great at rap. It's not, there's no road from rapping into music. You know what I mean? And music is something that you can get better and better and better at. I don't know if you can do that with rap. I don't know whether it has that kind of space in it or that kind of leads off into infinite numbers of possibilities. Music does.
What do you think?
First of all, I'd fucking highly disagree, and I'd slap him right out of that floral decored fucking couch for even saying music and nobody can get better at it. Like, what a fucking asshole. And I understand what he's saying with talking, but I mean, it's like, what's the difference with what's the guy that's from here? His name, the famous guy,
Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan. Like, what's the difference? He said, "I'm done on bands and I'm done on bands and I'm done." What's the difference? That's like, and rappers nowadays are more melodic than any fucking era of music that I would think, and people know more about melodies than anything now. I'm sure he was speaking back then, judging by the couch. I'm sure it was like 1985 or something when he said that. But
yeah, thanks for pulling this relevant.
In all reality, if that was 1985, he might have had a valid point.
Even then, though, I mean, there was messages and all type of shit in the music. Like, how is that not music?
Well, because he was saying this, there was vocally a message, but I see what he's saying, and it's like it kind of goes both ways, in my opinion, because what he's saying is that, like, if you're a musician in '85, bruh, and rap is just starting to picking up, what they were doing is like the same thing they did all through the '90s. Like, it's kind of almost heart crushing when we hear the original California Love samples. Like, damn, you didn't even do it. That was somebody else's shit. That was somebody else's music that you just decided to put a drum track on in your little garnishments. But musically, you didn't really do too much.
Yeah, you didn't play piano, you didn't play bass, you didn't play the drums.
Yeah, you didn't do shit. Somebody else did it. You took it and you talked over it. That's the argument he's making.
Well, I guess let's take rap. That's rhythm and poetry. So really, I guess they probably looked at it as poetry. But I feel like the minute that beat hits, I don't care what else comes after that. That's music.
Yeah, well, that's where actually, when I first watched this video, I was kind of salty just by him saying that. Like, oh man, this dude don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
I'm all the way salty right now.
And then he said one line. He was like, "There's no path from rap to music," and I kind of agree to that point. Like, if you're a rapper, unless you get into making your own beats and shit, and you just rap, then like Kazi said, yeah, you do some singing and there's a melody, but that's just like, you could almost say that with singers and shit. Like, singers, if you just sing and you're not learning an instrument and you're not learning how to make music,
you're a vocalist.
You're stuck in your lane and shit. You know what I mean? And I think that is kind of true for a lot of rap and shit. Like, you know what I mean? If you're not making your own beats and going from being shitty at making beats to getting better and better and making your own shit and actually doing the musicianship behind it, if you just rap, then and you focus on just rapping, then there is no lane for you to become a better musician. You know what I mean? For like, if you pick up a guitar, you can be shitty at it at first, but the more you play it, the more you try, the more you put shit together, then you can actually grow into a musician of being able to play multiple instruments. You eventually can compose music. You can see the song from all angles instead of just a rap verse. So I kind of see what he's saying from that particular line. But I guess the adverse is that to like, if you're making your own beats, man, I'd definitely fucking consider you a musician, because there's if the beats are good, there's definitely musicianship into it. Even if you're anything short of just putting samples into shit. If you're picking out a melody, or you're doing some sort of chords, and you've progressed from being a simple beat maker to a complicated beat maker, there's a path there in musicianship. So like,
and he wasn't saying that you can't. He was just talking about music wise. You easily, well, not easily, but there is a path from starting off rapping to getting better. You know what I mean? There's that. So but that's not his argument. His argument was basically, I've heard that before, man. I've heard comedians. That was a big thing when rap first started up. That's why a lot of people thought that rap wasn't gonna stick around. A lot of people thought it was just can't remember the word.
A novelty.
Like a fluke. It was like a fluke. Like, this is just some fad. That's what I meant. It was like a fad. Like, it was going to stick around for a little bit. Eventually it took off, but they thought that it was going to, it was just a fad, because there has been musical fads before. You know what I mean? And that didn't make it, So Kazi's over there looking like he's feeling a certain way about this shit.
I understand where you're coming from. And then even with the beat making and all that, what's weird is I make beats. I don't consider myself a producer. I would just say I'm a beat maker, but I don't even necessarily consider myself a musician. I never felt comfortable like claiming that title, because I honestly don't really feel like I am. I feel like musicianship has something to do with you understand some shit. I really don't. I just play by ear.
Yeah.
A lot of musicians do that, bro. Matter of fact, we don't have to run a Beatles track, but everybody's heard of the Beatles and shit, and them motherfuckers couldn't even read fucking music. They had other people sitting down with them. They were doing the songs and the chords and shit, and then they had somebody else come in there and really write down what they were playing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, but they were still musicians, arguably the biggest rock band in history,
I guess I understand what that dude's saying and what you guys are saying, but I guess I would just say that maybe the rap part shouldn't be hung up in that title. Like, the music is the music. The rap is like a vocalist or poetry, but it's just a combination of the two. And maybe they're just their own thing in their own right. But I don't feel like you can't get better. You can get better at anything if you keep doing it. So for him to say
for sure.
you can't get better, I don't care how many times I've gotten better just writing, no matter how many times I've wrote and rapped and recorded a verse or whatever. I've gotten better over time, so I don't agree with that part.
Hi.
Why, hello.
Got a cigarette?
I always keep a fresh bag of molten gold.
Wow, molten gold?
That ain't all I'm bagging, baby.
Want to go back to my place?
Yeah. Molten gold cigarettes. Guaranteed to get you laid.
May not actually get you laid. Molten Gold Cigarettes is not responsible for your sex life. In order to call yourself a musician, in my opinion, you have to be able to like be sufficient enough to feel confident to sit down, not even necessarily like jam with somebody else, but to sit down and make your own shit and believe in yourself enough to follow it and like produce something and make something, but also know that it actually is going somewhere. Like, but I also kind of think it's like, at least with one instrument, it doesn't necessarily have to be a multitude of instruments. Like you said, a vocalist is a vocalist. If you're a guitar player or a piano player, if you can come up with some chords, you have a general understanding, you can kind of do a lead over some shit, that's enough to really kind of be like, yeah, I can throw a lead on that shit. I can fucking come up with something, even if it takes me an hour or if it takes me 5 minutes, you're still creating something. You're still using your musical intuition.
You can create and you can create and it makes sense. It's just not hitting a bunch of shit that's not in the right note, the right keys, right?
Right.
So I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, obviously, Nuke can play multiple instruments. Um, you know, I can play the piano, but if you ask me, like, yeah, go into a D minor flat six or some shit, and it's like, man, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You know, I don't know.
See, but I only have gotten to that level in like maybe the last few years, and I've been playing, you know, messing around with piano since I was like 7 or 8. I started playing guitar when I was probably 12 or 13. And I'm just getting to the level within the last few years where I'm like, yeah, I can go to a D minor 7 and shit. And I know where that is I know where that is on a piano. I know where that is on a guitar. You know what I mean? So like there is levels to it as far as like me, even within the last few years, I wouldn't consider myself a musician. Like I could play guitar and I could follow and I could jam and shit. I was more of a guitarist or a drummer. Like I had specialties, but in broad strokes of being able to, you know, consider yourself like I definitely wouldn't even say I've mastered any of those things. I'm kind of like, you know, jack of all trades, master of none and shit. Like,
Yeah,
I
but
can
you
get
kind
it
of
up at those
contradicted
levels.
yourself a second ago. You said I wouldn't call myself a musician up to a couple years ago. But before that, you were saying, yeah, if you could play anything and make it make sense, then yeah, I would put you in the categorization.
And that's what I meant, that there is levels to it. There is levels to it. You know what I mean? Like if you can make a song and it takes you an hour to put a lead on it, but then by the end of an hour, you got something that sounds fucking, you know, perfect.
There's apprenticeship and there's masterful.
Mhm.
Yeah, sure.
Levels in between. So
definitely.
But you know, as far as how music is right now, a lot of people are missing out on those steps unless you're making your own beats and you're being creative with your beats. Because I mean, a lot of people are making beats that just sound poppy and trendy and shit. But instead of somebody who's a musician who knows enough to get creative and think outside the box and shit, it's like that shit is dying, and a lot of that shit is due to the fucking, you know, the death of the musician instead of the birth of the vocalist or the rapper and shit. You know what I mean? Like those are their lanes and shit, but it doesn't leave a lot of outside room to become a musician. You know what I mean? Like other genres of music.
It kind of bouncing back to what Kamikaze said, like, you know, as far as the rap part, there was a message at a time. There was a message. Like that's kind of how you got your daily news and shit. You know what I mean? Like what was going on in the hood, in different neighborhoods. You know, that was kind of the message. That was the messenger delivering what's happening over here. And, you know, but now they took it out. So it's like, if you take that out and everything that you have access to is all that poppy shit that everybody's trying to do, then you get lost in the sauce, man. There's no message anymore. It's just, I'm trying to make a hit. I'm trying to sound like what's on the radio, which in all honesty, everybody's kind of done that as far as like, we all wanted to be on the radio. You know what I mean? We all wanted to have a song play on the radio and shit. But yeah, that's what all I'm saying, man, is that if there is no message anymore, man. I seldom hear that, man. Most of the time,
it's very few and far between.
Bullshit, weed, cars, and then that's it. You know what I mean? That's what I'm hearing. And then every now and again you'll hear something, but it's usually like underground. I'm just talking about the mainstream. There are no more messages, man.
Well, yeah, that's like you said, man. It's kind of few and far between where you find some shit with that's a message and shit. Like even if the message is, you know, I mean, you know, find a grind, make your money and shit. Like, okay, at least the message is to hustle instead of just songs about flexing and shit. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much shit nowadays where that's the only thing, that's the only fucking substance in a song. You know what I mean? So even the rap and the poetry is you know what I mean? Like you're making a poem about flexing. You're making a poem about, you know what I mean, like what you got or what you do or how you feel and shit, but it's not necessarily message. It's not necessarily concept or theme. It's not based on a vibe that a beat gave you. Like the beat was pretty much, you know what I mean, the beats can be interchangeable and shit. Like the beat goes hard, so you just got to go hard over the beat instead of it being like a creative, like, oh, you know, this is how I'm feeling. Let me make a song and a track that sounds like this and then write to it. You know what I mean? It's just automatic. It's almost like fucking you know, cut and paste, you know, printing press, just churning out the shit that's most trendy and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of what, Kazi was saying last week. Like, well, yeah, I was surprised, you even liked some of my shit. And it was like, well, because you weren't doing that shit that we're talking about. It counts a hell of a lot.
Yeah. Right.
Kazi, you awake over there, brother? You haven't moved in about 7 minutes.
Just listening.
These glasses are dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still shocked. I don't know. I never know how people take music. I mean, like my music. I don't know. I just write whatever comes out, whatever the beat's talking to me about. Rarely do I ever go into music where I'm like, I'm gonna rap about this. I have done that with albums like Project MK Ultra because I had to, but I'm just saying if I just have beats, I can just let them. I don't know. They kind of. I feel like there's rappers that just have something to say and they just need a beat, and I feel like some rappers that are waiting for the beat to tell them what to say, but they just have the skill to convey the message.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I mean, there's been times where the beat is just screaming like this is what you rap about, and then you go. You know what I mean? And then there's been other sessions where it's like I'm not really feeling the beat. It's all right, but this is the song, and this is what we're talking about. Like, okay, well,
that's kind of why I feel like there's really no writer's block. You're just not hearing the right frequencies or something. You're just not hearing the right beat. There's people that's like, I'm in a mental block right now. I don't. As I get older, I'm starting not to really believe in that. I think it's just lack of inspiration to, or whatever you're trying to do or whatever's available to you at that moment. But I guarantee you, even on those days, if you heard the right beat, that shit would come out.
I agree.
Yeah. But I mean, I think even that, man, that's almost reactionary where if you're, that's almost like you hear a beat that somebody else did. When the producer or the beat maker puts the energy into that shit. Like there was the song sticks in my head. There's the Bill Withers song "Lovely Day."
Yeah.
And then Twista had a remix of that shit.
Yeah.
That shit banged. You know what I mean? Like it was just obviously it's a sample and shit, but it's one of those beats. You can imagine that beat. That beat has it's got its own corner as far as a vibe. It's got an old school feel, man. This shit reminds me of fucking some old school shit, you know what I mean? And
just for the record, I couldn't stand that fucking song.
Which one? Either version?
Well, no. I mean, I like the Bill Withers one. When Twista came out with that, I'm like, well, you're not twisting like I was expecting.
Yeah, I wasn't slapping that in the Cutlass.
Yeah, I'm not playing that shit.
Lovely day.
Lovely day.
Yeah. I mean,
I was bumping that in the Ford Focus.
Were you really? Were you really doing?
Yeah, I was bumping that in the Dodge Acclaim. the Ford Focus and shit.
Yeah, there was a few songs on there that was like, man, I'm looking for that West Side Chicago feeling, and this wasn't it. I don't know.
Yeah,
one of my favorite songs. I'm trying to hear him on the fucking Devil's Angel or whatever that song was. That was one of my favorites off. I don't even know what album that was. One of his newer ones.
Shit, he's a goddamn like a gunsmith now, man. Like he fucking, it's like like he coaches his own classes and shit for firing ranges and all that. Like he's a gun nut, Nobody else noticed that shit?
No.
Yeah, I seen that. He did a whole song where he was rapping about all them guns and shit. I didn't like the hook at all. I think it was called Glock or some shit. The hook was
yeah. He's because he said it every 7 seconds. Glock.
He was killing it on the verses.
You gotta think he made a killing off that too. I'm sure Glock products, they probably sent him a few free Glocks and a nice check.
Yeah,
he's out there shooting shit up the whole class and shit.
I would love to see those contracts that they get, man. Like, yeah, you have to say Glock, you have to say fucking
oh yeah, they're descriptive and what you cannot
Blackhawk
say
holsters and shit. You have to fucking say each how many times you gotta say it, at least 3 times and at least once in the chorus. Like these contracts are out there somewhere, you know what I mean? Like they'll slide it into these songs, like they'll slide it into songs where you wouldn't know that it's obviously like a marketing ploy. I'm trying to think of a good example. Like for sure, there were songs back in like the 2000s where you could tell where it was like it was almost sponsored by a specific fucking alcohol or some shit. You know what I mean? Like
St.
damn.
Ides.
Yeah, St. Ides. Get fucking get what's his name in here.
They have Tupac
They
come
had
in and
everybody.
hit verses and twist it up and shit. Now follow as we ride, motherfuck the rest. You see me drinking on the St. Ides.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. I saw MC8 one the other day. Like sipping on the St. Ides. Like, yeah, that was pretty funny.
St. Ides was bomb though. I don't give a fuck what anybody was talking about. I was drinking
I've only
shit.
had it one time, man, and I never liked the taste. I've never liked the taste of alcohol anyway, man. But I don't
The
know. Something
beer?
about, you thought it was
Me?
fire? St. Ides?
St. Ides, yeah. Well, we used to have these. I don't know what drinks they were. They had the red and a blue one. That's all I remember because I think I used to get the blue one or something. But I remember drinking the beer. Didn't they have a beer? Like, wasn't that a beer
Yeah,
you
bro.
could
You
get?
talking about Alizé? You talking about Alizé, man?
Nah, man. St. Ides had like fruity drinks, and I know that one was
Sure.
blue because I can see the bottle in my head. It's not the Alizé. We were drinking that too. That shit was like a chaser for whatever else we were drinking. But no, St. Ides had a red and blue drink because I remember when they stopped selling them. Like, I'm like, damn, man, that was my shit. It was like a slightly stronger Mike's Hard Lemonade or some shit, you know. But they were
Oh
good.
yeah, I see it here. Yeah, okay. Are they still
Yeah, I used to
around, or
drink.
did they shut
I used
down?
to, they are
I don't know. I'm
I
trying
mean,
to see.
the shit out of those.
Yeah, they've been
Oh,
gone
shit.
since 1998.
How's he gonna show up next
They
week
can't.
with a fucking
yes.
St. Ides?
You probably find it on eBay for $602
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
unopened.
St. Ides.
Dehydrated can.
That's what we ought to do, man. That'd be a good, since it's discontinued, we ought to fucking
There ain't no way they stopped it at
Film a
98
commercial.
though, because I was still buying that shit at the fucking. I swear I was buying that shit at the liquor store like around the time I turned 21.
you might have, man. I'm sure it was probably discontinued, but they got to get rid of that shit in their warehouse. I know Camels is my favorite brand, and they switched over papers, you know, and they came out with this new pack and everything, but it didn't smoke right. It didn't smoke like the same old Camel.
Right.
And you know, like a year later, I'm still finding like Camels, the old school Camels, until they finally ran out. Like, damn, they're all gone.
Yeah, he's like, hey, Nuke, they got the old ones back over.
Yeah, hit you out like, bro, they got the real Camels, and we're smoking on this bullshit. But
You remember them Snoop wraps? It was like the first wraps that came out that didn't have any tobacco.
Was it Snoop?
It was Snoop
Rap?
Dogg. He was promoting the shit. I forget what they were called, but he had this one that was called Chronic. And that made all our regular weed taste just like Chronic. That was the most amazing blunt in my life. I've never.
Fuck with that for sure.
That shit literally made any weed you smoked in that blunt just like Chronic. We were smoking dirt weed back. You getting the 2 for the 15 back then and shit. You know.
Got those chronic chemicals built into the wrap.
I remember when they didn't even have cigarettes. We were smoking the big blunts. You put a whole dime in that motherfucker. You spent half a day.
whole time, fucking Phillies and shit. That motherfucker was this big, like, bruh.
Riding around fucking in the hood and shit and looking for a motherfucker that got the 2 for the 15.
Yeah.
You
man.
want to put it out? You want to put it out, save it for later a little bit?
Back then, it was like not everybody sold weed, bro. You literally had to know somebody that fucking
Yeah,
knew
you had to
somebody.
find it.
Just drive around the hood and shit. It ain't like now
Yeah.
where
You
everybody
tapped
knows
into the
somebody.
motherfucker when you saw the man too, like, there he is right there. Boom.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Hit me with that 2 for 15. Shit, I was like 12, 13 years old. And I kept running into I can't remember the dude's name, man. Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anyway.
Probably better.
But, you know, I kept running into him, man, and he was selling nickel bags, fat nicks and shit. So it was like I was selling them motherfuckers off for dimes, you know. Yeah.
I was going to say that shit too. It's like you run into a guy and he's like, I got 3 for 20 or some shit.
I literally bought motherfucking regular weed until you couldn't find that shit no more. I didn't convert over to the fucking good shit until like 2009. I was still getting fucking $25 a quarter. But you know what? I didn't feel like a fucking. It didn't hurt to go make a purchase. You know, it's like it wasn't an expensive habit like these days.
Yeah, I was getting
Yeah, that
$50
drove.
zips and shit.
That dro was too goddamn expensive when it first made that transition, man. It's like this shit was fucking hurting.
Yeah, I remember getting fucking mids and shit. It was like 40 a quarter and shit.
I remember when it first hit, bro. Like the first day. Like it was
Like 60
bruh,
a gram or some shit.
bro, it was $20 a joint for a pinner. It was 20 for
Yeah.
a pinner, and people was getting it too. Like because the high was better, but the taste was out of this world though. It was like,
Right.
and this was joints. Like motherfuckers you wasn't even putting this shit in wraps and blunts and shit, bro. This was like joints.
I still say that weed doesn't, to this day, doesn't taste like the weed that I had back then. Like there was a certain crispiness to the fucking flavor and shit. Like it wasn't all compact and shit to travel. That motherfuckers was growing shit out here and shit. You know, it was like, I don't know. There was some good ass weed back then.
I remember when I was a young man, when it came to the ladies, I was running through them. But then I made the ultimate mistake and I got married. Damn, what the hell was I thinking? Every time I look at my wife, I want to crawl inside of a liquor bottle. And that's exactly what I do. I've been drinking Modiac for the last 17 years. Modiac, a man's drink. A smooth cognac that'll light your chest on fire and make you forget how much of a bitch your wife is.
Hey man, did y'all hear about that YouTuber that got shot doing some prank at the mall? Not of America, but some other one?
Wow.
Not an American mall?
No, not the Mall of America.
I can only imagine though. There's people out here just playing with people for views and shit. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the story behind it, but apparently the dude that shot him, he got arrested, you know. So I don't know who knows what happened, you know. But I've seen some things before. You guys ever seen that they dress up like Arabs and shit and they say some weird shit and throw a fucking bag that gives you the sense of feeling like this was some type of an explosive or some shit
like that?
Man, that's so bad. That shit ain't even funny.
Right.
You know?
Go to the mall.
Yeah. You know, it's like it's not funny, but then you watch it go, fuck, that's fucking hilarious. You know.
What about
but it's like it's not.
I'm whatever his name is, and I'm here to fuck your wife and shit. Like you just go.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the hell was his name? What was dude's name?
Oh no, I forget what his name is.
I got a bald head. No, that was the other dude. I'm Tyrone.
Tyrone.
Yeah, Tyrone. It's got to be.
I'm here to fuck somebody's wife.
Yeah, shit. He got in a squabble a couple times doing that shit too. Like, bro, that's yeah. And
But
then,
I've seen more of them that are fake, where people are pretending like you just go up and see somebody street like, yo, I want to do a video. I'm gonna come up and act like I'm gonna fuck with you and shit, and you chase me off, right?
Yeah,
you know, and like that's the fucking bit. Like that's
probably most of the
motherfuckers I see. Yeah, you can tell. Like, oh, it's just a prank, man. It's just a prank. Unless somebody really fucking tees off on you and shit, then you can see. And I think even them, it's like, yo, I'm gonna come up and start fucking with you, man, and just chase me off and shit. And then they don't know who they just fucking offered that to, and that motherfucker ends up actually trying to hit you and shit, like just to make it good for the video. But
you can almost tell by the face when the motherfuckers get mad, like if it was real or not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, most motherfuckers wouldn't react the way they do on the video. It would be a little more subtle and shit. Like,
speaking of bad acting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's exactly what I said. That's perfect transition. I said bad acting.
Let's go moving on to bad acting. I heard what was I can't remember the guy's name, man. At the moment.
Nicolas Cage has a movie coming out.
Yeah, that's
John Wick is in theaters. It's bad acting.
No, this the dude from Poetic Justice, man. The dude, Chicago. You know, the Tales from the Hood, that guy. He's in a Vlad interview these days. And Vlad says that, you know, yeah, he was a great rapper / actor, right? And dude's like, yeah, man, he was, you know, probably the best rapper actor ever, you know, and he was about to be moving on to great big shit, you know, theatrically or whatever. And so I just saw that a couple days ago. And so I'm watching Gridlocked. I'm watching Gridlocked with Tupac Shakur and Jim Belushi, John Belushi's brother. Right?
Yeah.
He's fucking terrible.
No, that's Jim Belushi. That's gang related.
Which one
right?
is the? Oh no, wait, yeah. The one, I'm talking about the one where he's playing a cop.
That's gang related.
Okay, gang related. What did I say? Gridlocked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So gang related. And it's like, dude, there's a lot of parts in there where it's like he just overacted the shit. Like, you know, it's like, man, they're really gonna fuck us up. You know, it's just like, yeah, oh man, you know, the heat, the pressure's on and shit.
I can't fucking believe you. Can't believe you.
I think he was bad in the movie. I don't mind any of his movies, really. I didn't feel like,
When's the last time you seen him though, bruh?
man, I've seen them all, man. That's like my favorite rapper of all time.
I said, when's the last time you seen it?
The movie.
The movie.
The gang related?
Yeah.
Probably like a couple years ago.
Bro, go back and watch it again. And like watch it. Like it's almost like I was telling you guys before, like in Menace to Society, like holding that beer and there's no gurgle out the bottle.
Let's get out. We're talking shit. I'm gonna tell him I come in this motherfucker. You got something to say.
It's just all sitting there and shit. Like, you know, it's just like this is little things that you start seeing, like, oh god damn. You know, like, man, all right. Cut. Let's do that again. I'm talking about, bro. He's literally like, oh no. You know, like this move, like, you know, like who the fuck bites their hand? No.
Yeah, this shows that I'm distressed. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying, man, watch it again. It's just like, yeah,
That was some old like 90s shit though. They were doing that in a few.
That's what I was thinking. It's okay because it's some 90s shit.
what,
like-
biting your fucking hand?
No, well, maybe even that, but I'm just saying about the whole vibe of a little bit overacting and shit. You know what I mean? Like,
So a lot of
Well, that's-
overacting was going on in the 90s.
He's a
with
new
certain-
he's a fairly new actor. He's stepping in there with like real actors and shit, you know. I'm sure he's probably has
Well,
to go over
yeah,
the
he's definitely not as practiced as some of the other his co-stars. He's probably the least experienced actor on the set.
I think
I
he
don't know.
said that in an interview before.
Yeah,
What?
I'm sure that has something. Yeah, I'm sure, man. I mean, yeah. You know, I mean, he's acted before, but he's always took roles that's like something familiar. You never were a police officer. You know what I mean? Like it's a whole different
The
thing.
movie Baby Boy was written specifically for him.
Was it really?
Yeah, in fact, John Singleton, I just seen an interview about it like 2 days ago, was like he was like devastated. I think Tyrese was telling the story, and he and John Singleton was like devastated that he passed away because he's like, I wrote this movie specifically for you.
Mm. Speaking of John Singleton, either one of you guys watch Snowfall?
I only saw like up at the first 5 episodes of the first season up until it got into some like weird jail shit.
Yeah, it did
starts
get
getting
weird.
good.
It got real Hollywood there for a second. Like, why are you throwing this particular scene in there? Why is that?
It got real weird in that like 5th episode.
Yeah,
I was
like
like,
real
yeah,
sus, right? It got real sus.
super.
Like, yeah.
Remember, I just remember how I felt, and I kind of fell out after that. But I heard
Yeah,
that.
well, and you know what? They never had another thing like that in the whole season. It was just like, well, we got to get this out the way, so let's get this out the way quick.
Was that
This
John
is
Singleton too? You said that
Uh-huh.
was John Singleton?
Yeah, he did the first 2 seasons and then he died. So they're like trying to finish his vision.
Mm.
And I gotta say, it's pretty good, man. You know what I mean? It's basically based around California during the crack era in like the mid '80s. You know,
Yeah.
and you know, one could argue it's about Freeway Ricky Ross. You know, his whole life. That's what Freeway Rick Ross says anyway. He says he talked to John Singleton, and John Singleton said he wanted to make his whole story, and then he ain't talked to John Singleton for like a year. And then all of a sudden, this show was up in there and, you know, coming out, and he's hearing about it and he's not involved in it. He's like, man, that's my whole story. But then
Yeah.
when you hear from John Singleton will tell you, man, I knew all these people, like by name, like some of the characters and shit. This is how they were, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, shit. That's also fucking kind of tragic to know that Baby Boy was supposed to be Pac. I feel like, was it that close?
That's why
to
he was on the wall in the background in Tyrese's room. There was a mural of Tupac
Yeah.
in the background.
mm,
But I wish even though John Singleton and Tupac fell out, and Pac was not a fan of him. In fact, he, and I quote, called him a coward for whatever reason. I forget, but I wish John Singleton would have made the Tupac movie versus whatever the fuck that was.
I didn't even
out.
watch it. I could tell it was
It-
gonna be bad.
Yeah, that was like some fucking Oxygen Channel shit to me.
Hold on, what are we talking about? You lost me.
The Tupac movie that they made.
The Tupac movie, it was done by I forget his name. Was it Antoine Fuqua? I don't remember who it was that shot that movie. Somebody who was a
Oh,
video,
yeah.
like a music video director, and I don't know.
I know who
just-
you're talking about.
I think John Singleton would have made more of a classic movie out of it. That's all I'm saying.
Well, they say John Singleton was a street dude, man. Like he wasn't really with the shit, but he knew everybody. You know what I mean? He grew up around it. Like, yeah, this is the way it is. But I just heard something interesting today. As a matter of fact, that said the role that Tupac played in Poetic Justice was actually supposed to be Ice Cube. That was another John Singleton movie that was for Ice Cube. This was supposed to be Our Boys in the Hood to hear, but Ice Cube didn't want to do he didn't want to be vulnerable like Pac was with Janet Jackson. He didn't want to fall in love. He wanted to be like more hard, like, keep his image going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just didn't work out. You know what I mean? So it went to Pac. So that wasn't written for Pac. This was written for Cube.
It's
And
kind
Cube
of funny
passed on.
though, because when you think if you put Cube in that role, man, like I don't know, I don't think that shit would be a good look for Cube. It might have been a good decision, bro. Like save all that acting shit for fucking Pac. Pac looks like he could, you see Ice Cube and all you've ever known of Ice Cube was fucking tough guy and shit. You know what I mean? And Pac is like you can see the range of emotion in Tupac and shit less than you could for Cube. Cube is like always tough guy, always saying some hard shit. You know what I mean?
So
Pac, yeah, like Pac always, Pac, even with his songs and shit, he showed a sensitivity that Cube never really showed in any of his music.
But Ice Cube went on and did Are We There Yet?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, but that was his fucking own film studio, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. That was his thing. That was his like family thing.
Poetic Justice is the first time. Oh, I think Juice maybe. Juice. I just remember watching Poetic Justice and having no idea who Tupac was. In fact, I remember me and my sister roasting his head for some reason. We thought he had an egg head or some shit. Like I distinctly remember renting that movie, not knowing who he was, because I think at the time, I heard Tupacalypse Now and I heard some of the music, but it wasn't my kind of music. Like I wasn't a fan of the beats of like Holler If You Hear Me and shit, even though I did play that song or listen to it if it was there, but it wasn't, I was never into those kind of beats,
Yeah, it seems like he hadn't reached his pinnacle yet at that point, as far as like globally fucking being like considered the greatest of the time and shit. Like I feel like it was the same way when I first seen that shit. Like, yeah, it's Tupac, he's a rapper and some of his shit, but you're still kind of looking at him like an actor and shit. And he played his part in Poetic Justice and shit. Like
I never looked at him like an actor.
I thought he killed that shit.
Those movies,
Justice.
Those movies were like few and far. I know he did more movies. I think the most movies that came out was after his passing, but like doing the movie Juice and Poetic Justice, I still was more of a fan of the music. I didn't really, me personally, I didn't really look at him like an actor. I know he did those movies, but I was more interested in his music.
Yeah.
Once he did Me Against the World, like that's where it changed for me. It was Me Against the World and like Shed So Many Tears and then when when All Eyes on Me came out, it was like that album blew my mind at the time. Plus I paid like $26 for that double.
Well, I don't know the timeline to this shit. That's after Poetic Justice, right?
What?
Like Juice and
No,
I think Juice came first, and then he wanted to do something different to show his range, and then I think Poetic Justice came out.
Yeah,
okay.
And he was supposed to be in Menace to Society.
Yeah, he was supposed to play
Sharif.
Sharif.
And he would have did good at it too.
But he didn't believe that there would be a what did he say? A Muslim. What did he say? He basically was saying that character is not real, and he thought that there should be. Well, for one, he thought there should be a backstory as to why Sharif was so calm and mellow compared to everybody else. I feel like they told that story though, because you've seen his father. You know, it was clear that he had an impact.
Right.
And the girl was a little slow on that plate.
Hey, Keisha, bring Mr. Butler a plate.
A nice size plate, Keisha.
The hunt is on, and you're the prey. Mr. Butler had me thinking about.
Yeah.
I watched the shit out of Menace to Society.
Shout out to everybody in chat like me. Don't know what the fuck they're talking about right now.
Partner.
That girl's a little slow on that plate, ain't she? Hey, Keisha,
make Miss Mother a motherfucking plate.
That girl a little slow on that plate, ain't she?
Hey, Keisha, hurry up. Bring the motherfucking plate.
a nice size plate, Keisha.